Well, that was 4 hours of a lot of things. Gone with the Wind. I never seen this film from start to finish like this because most of the time I didn't have any time. It's 4 goddamn hours. And at this point, what can I say about this movie? Everybody has talked about this film. Normal people, people who don't care about movies, have seen this film and already talked about this film. Girls you find to be annoying and stupid in high school have seen this film. There's almost nothing to talk about at this point. And I feel like it's better not to talk about it because it hasn't aged that well. It doesn't hold up that well in this period of time, especially considering the films of that time. Like, when did this came out? It was about 1938 or 1939. What kind of films were there then? There was The Wizard of Oz. Yes, it doesn't technically hold up, effect-wise, but it doesn't really bother you too much because you realize the effects can't be that good considering the period, and the acting doesn't really bother you because it's more about being charming. It's not really trying to be authentic. Then there's films like Stagecoach, which actually feels more gritty and authentic. There's one of my favorite movies of all time, Bringing Up Baby, which actually kind of was the predecessor of the modern comedy. The quick-witted humor, the fast lines, the very non-romantic delivery. Gone with the Wind is basically the film that created most of the cliches that has been created throughout film history. It's also the film that represents the 30s cinema perfectly because the acting and everything else is very much so of its time. It's very dramatic. It's, to a certain extent, it's overly dramatic. Like, the tear from one eye, that guy who's so sad that he drinks himself drunk in the room while the window's open and there's thunder and lightning and rain coming from behind. There's just so many cliched, over-the-top dramatic moments in this movie that it kind of bothers you. There's the sassy black woman. There is a lot of that in here. Vivien Leigh and Clark Gable are two of the most dramatic actor/actresses of all time, and I know they're great. I've seen them. I love some of their performances. I love their performances in here too, considering the film that I'm watching, but it is very cheesy to a certain extent. There's a lot of dramatic turns. There's a lot of sulking. There's a lot of crying. It's to an almost inhuman extent. Clark Gable's way too slick. He's smiling. He kind of has one eyebrow up in the air like this, and he just looks at people, and he's always smooth. He always knows what to say. He never murmurs for one moment, and it's way too perfect for my taste. Vivien Leigh, her eyebrow, I'm gonna assume it's drawn because one eyebrow is just always up in the air. She's always doing. I can't do it. I don't know how she does it, but I can't do it. And of course, the political views of the film, in which they villainize North America a lot. And I know at that period of time, I kind of see why the book could have had that view. It's kind of uncomfortable watching it now, slightly. And there's the dialogue, which is just there's so many metaphors, there's so many lines about, I don't love you, but I love you, but here's why, but I can't be with you, but, I'm gonna leave you. Quite frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of these lines that feels more like film dialogue than life dialogue, and it to a certain extent, maybe it's just me, it gets me out of the film. It gets me out of it because I realize that I'm watching a movie. I can't indulge myself within the film. I have a problem with that when it comes to films. I love movies where I can put myself in there. this is not one of those films. But here's another point. Does that really matter? Does that really matter? Does the film need to be authentic to be one of the greatest films of all time? And the answer is obviously no. It doesn't need to be. It can be the most dramatic, cheesy, sappy piece of shit of all time, which this film isn't. But it can still be one of the greatest films of all time. It is still an extremely historically relevant film. Not only, from the point of view of the history of America, but also the history of filmmaking. It's epic. It's big. This is basically the predecessor for films like The Bridge Over the River Kwai, Lawrence of Arabia. It is an extremely huge and big film that it kind of amazes you. It really strikes you with awe. There's a lot of shots with the sunset, and everything else is now seen in silhouettes, and it's some of the most beautiful shots you will ever see in film history. It's beautiful, pretty as all hell. The performances, as dramatic as they are, and as unrealistic as they are still great performances, because most people cannot bring that much dramaticness to their, performances. Vivien Leigh, great. Clark Gable, great. The other people I can't remember the names of, they're all great. It's undeniable. Even if you find them cheesy, it's undeniable that it is hard to do what they're doing. The character arcs are intense. Scarlett O'Hara starts as basically a spoiled white woman, and then becomes a strong woman, even though she is kind of cheating on herself, her consciousness, her emotions. Clark Gable, a character that could have easily been just a one-note character that's just smarmy and smart and quick-witted, but no, they give him depth through loving his child, being sad, being tormented because the woman he loves doesn't really love him back. And other characters are just brilliant character arcs. There's one character that dies at the end. I'm not going to say who it is. And it tears you apart. Because from the beginning of the film, you care about this character probably more than any other character in the whole film. And it's one of the most heart-wrenching deaths I have ever seen in movie history. Like I said, the beautiful settings, the land, even if it's in a blue screen, I know for a fact that they weren't green screens back then, they was more blue screens. The settings are beautiful, the shadows are beautiful, the colors are so pretty, and the colors match the amount of melancholy within the film, because the first shot of the film, bright, white, bright green, orange hair men, and then as the film goes on, it gets darker, 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 to the point where even the red is like blood red. It's really deep and dark red. It's really well done. And the music is fucking amazing. I don't even need to talk about the music, because we all know that the music is great. So, as a creation, as a film, it is one of the greatest films of all time. It is undeniable. And it's not like it's boring. It is an entertaining film. If you like these kinds of movies, I personally do. Do I have any personal connections with it? No. But I feel like this is one of those movies that I could get into with more time, because it's undeniably great. It is an undeniably important film. And you just need to see it. It is an important film. It's undeniable. You need to see it to actually make an opinion on it. Even if you think it sucks. Even if you think it's like, it doesn't connect with you at all. It's undeniable that every single frame, every single second of the film is done well. And for that, I give it a 4 out of 4. I could give it a masterpiece rating if I actually put some personal emotions within it, but there's not a lot of that here. Not like, movies like this. So yeah, 4 out of 4. Gone with the Wind. Have to see you sometime. Bye.